I look at the Biden transition here as being absolutely unique in our history. What are you watching right now?
Let's look at it big picture to kick off 2021, Tom. You have the world's most powerful country that is also by far the most politically divided and economically unequal of all advanced industrial economies, at a time that we desperately need U.S. leadership because we're in the middle of the worst crisis of our lives. And the ability of the incoming Biden administration to do that is maximally undermined by how divided Biden's own Democratic Party is, by how divided the country is, and by Trump doing everything he can to delegitimize the presidency, put an asterisk on Joe Biden, not to mention the fact that Biden himself, of course, is coming in as the oldest president ever and would have challenges in this job no matter what. He's going to be the weakest president since Carter in '76 at a time we desperately need more. This is a serious problem for the U.S. and the rest of the world.
But, Ian, we had that phone call, right? President Trump, and then the audio was leaked where he's asking Georgian officials to basically recount and find votes. Does that not bring the country together? How can you still, once you hear that, how can the country of the United States of America still be divided?
Yes, I mean, this is what a lot of people outside the United States will be asking. What kind of a democracy is the United States? Wouldn't it come together against that kind of a revelation? Of course, there was a very similar revelation when President Trump was talking to the Ukrainian President Zelensky, and we got a transcript of that call. Okay, it's not the same thing as an actual tape, but it's pretty darn close. And the impeachment was completely divided. It didn't bring the country together. You got one Republican senator, Mitt Romney. You've got a few more Republican senators this time around, Ben Sasse, for example. There are others. But the majority of Republicans in Congress, in the House, and in Senate are actually saying that they are prepared to vote against the electors that have already certified the election outcome for Biden. This is maximally delegitimizing the incoming president-elect. Look, just yesterday, you also had the 10 still living secretaries of defense all writing together an op-ed saying the election has been decided, the military must not have to intervene, we have to recognize and respect this. I mean, no one's ever seen an op-ed like this. You've never had an environment like this. You haven't had an election like this in 150 years. And yet it's doing nothing to bring the country together. It's actually driving the country much, much deeper apart.
All right. Ian, so are you expecting President Trump to still play a significant role in the Republican Party in years to come?
I certainly am. He has by far the biggest megaphone in the Republican Party. And the fact that he's a lame duck president hasn't prevented Senator Ted Cruz and a dozen other sitting senators who have their own, most of them, presidential aspirations to see that seizing Trump populism and gaining Trump's support is very valuable to their own political careers. And that is playing out around and across the country right now. It's creating a much, much greater political divide. It's incredibly toxic for the country. It's deeply corrosive to the institutions of American democracy, to whether or not the average American believes in American democracy, never mind the idea that it would apply to other nations globally. This is a serious and lasting problem. It doesn't end with January 20th. In some ways, it just begins.